So, readers, big surprise. I was watching a Harry Potter movie this weekend, and I was so struck by how certain scenes go back in time. I checked my Harry Potter books to see if this was in the original books. And yes, Rowling is constantly moving time around, giving us glimpses of earlier moments. It's like she's bringing us back in time to teach us something. So I thought that today we could investigate that together. And I thought we could investigate one of my very favorite characters of all time, Professor Snape. To get us started, go ahead and turn to a clean left handed side piece of paper in your notebook. You are going to want to set up your focus notes. Today is 9/26/18. Your learning target is I can identify when time may change in a narrative and how that backstory can develop characters. The EQ is how does this backstory add to my understanding of a character? So, today I want to teach you that one way that the setting may change in a narrative is that the time may change, often bringing in backstory to develop the character. Perceptive readers are alert to time changes and ask themselves, how does this backstory add to my understanding of this character? So, we're going to try this together. I want to do a mini inquiry using Harry Potter, and I want you to really focus on two chunks or two main ideas in your focus notes. So, two questions to ask yourself when inquiring about the significance or importance of backstory, which is just when an author takes us to another place to reveal something new about a character or characters. Number one, what new information do we learn when the author brings us back in time? And number two, what new insights does this give us into characters? So, when I was reading this weekend, I was really struck by how mean Professor Snape could be to Harry. He seems like such a bully, and he's so hard on Harry right from the start. Let's watch this scene from the first book and movie, and you'll see what Professor Snape is like.
There will be no foolish wand-waving or silly incantations in this class. As such, I don't expect many of you to appreciate the subtle science and exact art that is potion-making. However, for those select few who possess the predisposition, I can teach you how to bewitch the mind and ensnare the senses. I can tell you how to bottle fame, brew glory, and even put a stopper in death. Then again, maybe some of you have come to Hogwarts in possession of abilities so formidable that you feel confident enough to not pay attention. Mr. Potter, our new celebrity. Tell me, what would I get if I added powdered root of asphodel to an infusion of wormwood? You don't know? Well, let's try again. Where, Mr. Potter, would you look if I asked you to find me a bezoar?
I don't know, sir.
And what is the difference between monkshood and wolfbane?
I don't know, sir.
Pity. Clearly, fame isn't everything, is it, Mr. Potter?
Clearly, Hermione knows. Seems a pity not to ask her.
Silence. Put your hand down, you silly girl. For your information, Potter, a Asphodel and wormwood make a sleeping potion so powerful it is known as the Draught of the Living Dead. A bezoar is a stone taken from the stomach of a goat and it will save you from most poisons. As for monkshood and wolfbane, they are the same plant which also goes by the name of aconite. Well, why aren't you all copying this down? And Gryffindors, note that 5 points will be taken from your house for your classmates' cheek.
Well, why aren't you all copying this down? Snape is the worst, right? It's like he's against Harry before he even knows him. Or is he? So let's look at another clip. In this clip, Harry is a little older and he's upset because he's convinced that Snape hates him and his whole family, his mother Lily and his father James Potter. So here, going back in time, we see Harry's mother and Snape when they were kids. Harry's mother is the girl with red hair, Snape is the boy with black hair. Let's see what we learn and remember your question. What do we learn and what new insights do we have into these characters from going back in time?
She's jealous. She's ordinary and you're special.
That's mean, Simmons.
Nice one, James.
The one with the power to vanquish the Dark Lord approaches.
Hide them all. I beg you.
What will you give me in exchange, Silvers?
Anything.
Harry Potter.
Said you would keep her safe.
Lily and James put their faith in the wrong person, Severus. Rather like you. The boy survives.
This need protection. The Dark Lord is gone.
The Dark Lord will return. When he does, the boy will be in terrible danger. If you truly loved her.
No one can.
Good job, Wizard. You went bad. It wasn't in Slytherin.
That's Professor Snape.
What's he take?
Potions. But everyone knows it's the dark arts he fancies.
Maybe some of you have come to Hogwarts in possession of abilities so formidable that you feel confident enough to not pay attention, Mr. Potter.
So I'm going to stop it right there. Sorry about those muggle technical difficulties, but it happens. So I want to ask you, after seeing that clip, what are you thinking? What did you learn about Snape and the Potters from going back in time and seeing them when they were young? Take a minute to add these thoughts to your focus notes. So, readers, it's interesting how we find out that Snape was really fond of Harry's mother. It's not that he didn't like her, he liked her a lot. Some of you noticed that Snape seemed more open and vulnerable when he was young, and we find out more perhaps about why Snape doesn't like Harry's dad. That was James Potter with his friends being so mean. So, Rowling put these scenes into the story for a reason. This movement in time doesn't just take us back to an earlier period for the heck of it. These time shifts give us some backstory. They give us new insights into Snape. These shifts in time develop Snape's character. If you notice time changing in your story, especially if it's a flashback, ask, why did the author give me this glimpse into the past? What new insights do I have into the characters from this backstory? So, readers, it seems as if this will be interesting work for you to continue in your own books. If you're reading books where there are shifts in time, you might revisit those moments, reading more closely to consider why the author did that and what new insights you gain about your characters. Sometimes authors give you backstory at the beginning of the book, and sometimes they give you bits of information across the story in moments that take you back in time. Be alert to those moments and shifts in time. So, readers, you have many choices about the reading work you might do today. Some of you can plan for work based on what you're most intrigued by, and some may need to see how your novel unfolds to make decisions. Make sure you're reading alertly, paying attention to the small details that other less alert or knowledgeable readers might miss. We're going to add to our investigating the influence of setting on characters. Today, we are paying attention to the backstory to gain new insight into characters. And something that I would like to challenge you to do, on the right side in your reader's notebook, when you're reading today, make a quick timeline to capture how time moves in your story, but just focus on those big shifts in time. So time moves back and forth even as the story moves forward, and you can capture these moves using a timeline, which will also help you think and talk about why those time changes are included. So here's an example that I did for The Fall of Five. You may use this as you are working in your own novel today. And then before I set you free, tonight's homework. So tonight you will read the extra alert to when time changes in your novel. Notice how your author lets you know that time has moved forward or backward. Does it move evenly? Or are there jumps between chapters? Does time ever change within a chapter? Maybe even more often. Flag some of these pages. Dealing with time changes will help you be able to read harder novels, so practice some of this work tonight. As always, get as much reading done as possible, aiming for 30 to 40 pages. And then this is very important. So we're actually not going to do our Reader's Notebook check today because tomorrow we'll have a gallery walk of reading notebooks, and you're actually going to have a partner reflection using reading logs. So make sure you are ready for that important work as well.